Chapter 363, Return of the Demon. As you said, it's not a disciple of the Heavenly Tao sect, so just kill it. You take care of yourself. Watching Zijin kill a Li clan powerhouse in a light depiction, Kang Chia said indifferently, "Get lost." Little Gold sniffed and blasted out with a fist. A golden light erupted, and a terrifying power swept towards Li Yuanba. Li Yuanba was startled, and then roared, fully resisting this punch of Zijin. However, where he was Zijin's subsequent, directly being blown out by this punch, even that aftermath, blowing the rest of the Li clan's powerhouses along with them, flying out as well. This was still Zijin being merciful, otherwise this punch could have killed them all in seconds. Go. In the distance, the wretched Li Yuanba climbed up. He glanced at Kang Chia and Little Gold with a face full of resentment, and left with a group of Li clan powerhouses. Kang Chia was too lazy to pay attention to him and walked down to talk to Qian San Xiao, Wang Taishong and the others. Master, Wu Dagger hurriedly came over and knelt down for Kang Chia, who nodded, considered formally accepting this personal disciple. Good boy, well done. The people of the Li family should be killed. Zijin patted Wu Dao's shoulder, only to make him grimace in pain, but he didn't dare to offend Zijin, and called out affectionately with a mouthful of a senior uncle, only to make Zijin so happy that he couldn't find his way out. You kid came back without saying hello. Qian San Xiao ran over and just gave Kang Chia a punch, but was Kang Chion's flesh body, that was comparable to a top-grade treasure weapon, something he could hurt. The result was that his fist swelled up. You pervert. Qian San Xiao looked at his swollen fist breathlessly, and held back to words for half a second. The crowd burst into laughter. Although the genius battle had come to an end, the number of cultivators in the imperial capital had not only not decreased, but had instead increased by a lot. And all of these people were rushing towards Kang Chia, hoping to catch a glimpse of the overlord. However, Kang Chia had been staying at the Heavy Iron King's royal mansion. He was teaching Wu Dagger while talking to Qian San Xiao, Wu Gang and other acquaintances. So apart from some acquaintances, very few people were able to see him. However, the cultivators of the imperial capital did not die. They often stood guard around the Heavy Iron King's mansion, hoping to see Kang Chia, even if it was only for a glance. Unfortunately, after 3 months in a row, Kang Chia had not come out, which really disappointed them for a while. The imperial capital in winter was shrouded in ice and snow, and for several days in a row, goose feather-sized snowflakes floated in the sky. In a small courtyard of the Heavy Iron King's royal mansion, Wu Dao, dressed in purple, was rehearsing his sword technique. Not far away in a pavilion, the four people, Kang Chia, Zijin, Wang Tianxiong, Wu Gang, and Qian San Xiao, were talking to each other while pointing out to Wu Dao. Blade's blade technique is getting more and more powerful and domineering, Wang Tianxiong said with a smile, obviously very fond of Wu Knife, after all. Wu Knife was also the one he watched grow up, almost no different from his own grandson. That's not because Kang Chia taught him well. Wu Gang smiled at his words. For such an obvious heart's ass, Qian San Xiao was very contemptuous and jealous. He glanced at Kang Chia, who was smiling faintly, and suddenly said playfully, I say, brother Kang Chia, what do you think of my family's girl? Kang Chia didn't say anything. Zijin on the side had already spewed out a mouthful of tea. He rolled his eyes and said, Brother San Xiao, that baby of your family is only 3 years old, all right. Even if you want to worship a master, it will take a few years. Qian San Xiao's daughter was only 3 years old this year and had just learned to speak. Very cute. Kang Chia was shocked when he learnt that Qian San Xiao had a daughter before. This fat man got married in the blink of an eye, leaving him speechless for a while. He felt like he had aged a lot all of a sudden. Listening to Zijin's words, Qian San Xiao said unwillingly, I'm not booking a place in advance. Dare he think he was booking a banquet? Kang Qiao was speechless. You'd better find someone else. My kung fu is fierce and domineering. It's not suitable for a daughter's family. I'm afraid of training your little girl into a manly woman. Kang Qiao then shook his head and laughed. Chen Sanxiao was disappointed when he heard this, but then laughed. That's fine. The little girl's master will be wrapped up in you from now on. You know more big shots than I do anyway. Dare I say that he was pulling on Kang Qiao and not letting go. Kang Qiao was a bit speechless, but still nodded. He also quite liked that little girl. Boom! Right at this moment, Wu Dagger in the courtyard violently spurted out a mouthful of blood and flew out backwards. A few people were immediately startled. Kang Qiao's body moved and instantly appeared in front of Wu Knife. His divine thoughts probed Wu Knife's body and found that the boy's physical body had suffered a violent trauma, but it wasn't much. Resting for a few days would be fine. You performed the sublime slash just now, didn't you? Kang Qiao withdrew his divine thoughts and looked at Wu Dagger with a sullen face. During these 3 months, not only did he pass on some cultivation tips to Wu Dagger, even the sublime chop was also given to Wu Dagger in one handle. It was only that Wu Blade's strength was still weak, and there was no way to perform the sublime chop for the time being. And if he insisted on doing so, he would suffer from a backlash, just like the current situation. How many times have I told you, sublime chop is not something you can perform right now. At the very least, you have to reach the cultivation level of Yuanyin stage. Kang Qiao droned coldly. Master. Wu Dagger lowered his head, not daring to speak. Seeing his pitiful appearance, Wang Tiexiong on the side couldn't look past it. His heart softened and advised, well, children, it's inevitable that they are a bit curious. Grandpa, curiosity will kill people. His fleshly body is not strong enough. Insisting on performing the sublime chop will cause his fleshly body to collapse. Kang Qiao couldn't help but laugh bitterly. In front of Wang Tiexiong, he didn't even have the chance to be a strict teacher if he wanted to. Kang Qiao is right. Wu Gang also had a gloomy face. He looked at Wu Dao and drank. Brat, why don't you kneel down? How many times have I told you to listen to your master? He was afraid that Kang Qiao would expel Wu Dagger from the division in a fit of anger. After all, no one would like a disobedient disciple. Wu Dagger hurriedly knelt down at his words, not forgetting to look at Wang Tiexiong pitifully. Tears were almost flowing down his face. Seeing that Wang Tiexiong was about to speak again, Kang Qiao waved his hand and said, forget it this time. Remember not to have a next time. Yes, master. Wu Dagger's heart rejoiced, and he hurriedly said respectfully, go and heal your wounds. Don't cultivate your blade technique in these few days. First familiarize yourself with the heaven escaping hand, and integrate this divine ability into yourself, Kang Qiao reminded. Wu Dagger nodded, and then bumbled down. Watching him leave, Wu Gang said with an apologetic face, Kang Qiao, I've troubled you. He was a little embarrassed. No problem. Kang Qiao shook his head and sat to the side in deep thought. Seeing this, Wu Gang was a little embarrassed and did not speak. At this time, Zijin frowned and said, little Dagger's perception and talent are top-notch. But unfortunately, this heart is too poor and his will is not strong enough. Qian Sanxiao rolled his eyes and said, it's not because the old master and this guy Wu Gang spoils him. The old master loves him a lot. Plus this kid is really talented as well. Wu Gang then naturally lazes about him. So much so that this kid is unrivaled in the young generation of the Great Tang country. And his heart is naturally not strong enough. This said, Wang Tiexiong was a little embarrassed, and Wu Gang on the side was also too ashamed to say anything. Alas, you guys are also really something. Zijin sniffed, looked at Wang Tiexiong and Wu Gang, shook his head and said, if you want to become a strong person, you must first have a strong heart. Back then, my brother failed to build the foundation 9 times, but did not give up, by virtue of that strong will. If you do not have a strong heart, It is not possible for my brother to have today's achievements. Nowadays, Zijin's strength is so strong that it far exceeds that of the State Lord, and his insights are naturally not comparable to those of Qian Sanxiao and the others. Wang Tiexiong's cultivation was all piled up by Kang Qiao with pills. Not very understanding, Wu Gang and Qian Sanxiao are experiencing the brutal struggle in the battlefield of righteousness and magic. Naturally understand the importance of heart. Wu Gang was a little worried. What should we do then? Is there any way to exercise his heart? It was about his son, so he naturally couldn't be careless. It's not easy to do. Qian Sanxiao shook his head. Heartiness cared about the individual. Sending people couldn't help. Zijin was also silent. He looked towards Kang Qiao, knowing that Kang Qiao was also thinking about this problem. Soon, Kang Qiao slowly opened his eyes and said, "The Great Tang country is too small. It is no longer able to hone his heart. It's time to let him go out and make his way. Traveling 1,000 miles, is a good way, but it's a bit dangerous." Qian Sanxiao hesitated. After all, in the Great Tang country, there was still them watching. Wu Daga would not be in danger of his life. But out of the Great Tang country, it would be hard to say. Wang Tiexiong was also very worried. He looked at Kang Qiao and said, "Tiana, is there any other way?" "Old master, don't bother." Kang Qiao didn't say anything. Wu Gang shook his head. He gritted his teeth and said, "Jade is not cut. The cultivation world is full of crises all the time. It's impossible for us to protect him for the rest of his life. If he can't even get a foothold within the heavenly Dao Sect's realm, how can he still break through the battlefield of the righteous devil in the future? I've decided, when he recovers from his injuries, I'll send him to leave the Great Tang country," Wu Gang said firmly. Kang Qiao gave him an appreciative glance, then comforted Wang Tiexiong. "Don't worry, I will leave my will on him, and I will be able to save him a few times at critical moments. But you guys don't tell him." Wang Tiexiong and Wu Gang sighed in relief at these words, then nodded their heads in a hurry. A month later, at the Great Tang country's Shanghai Pass, Kang Qiao, Zijin, Qian Sanxiao, Wang Taixiong, Wu Gang, and the others saw off Wu Daga. "Master, Father, Grandpa Wang, Junior Jin, Uncle Qian, don't worry, when I return, I will definitely be famous in the Heavenly Dao sect." Wu Daga looked very excited and patted his chest to assure Kang Qiao and the others. Right now, he was at a time when he was young and vigorous. Being able to leave the Great Tang country to go out and make a name for himself was simply too much for him. "Brat, you give me some peace. Outside is not like the Great Tang country. If you die, you die. No one will stand up for you." Wu Gang looked at him like he didn't care, and immediately cursed. "Anla, old dad, you can rest assured." Wu Daga skimmed his mouth and said, "Wu Daga," Kang Qiao said in a condensed voice. Hearing his master speak, Wu Daga instantly didn't dare to be casual and hurriedly listened respectfully to Kang Qiao's teachings. "This time, when I let you go out to make a breakthrough, I have another task for you." When Wu Daga heard this, he hurriedly perked up his ears. "Mission? What other task?" He was instantly curious. Kang Qiao continued, "The Great Tang country is more than 10 countries away from the Heavenly Dao sect. With your speed, even if you travel day and night, it will take you 3 years to get there. I'll give you 15 years. Take this token and head to the Heavenly Dao sect. Someone will take you to me. If 15 years is not up, you'll automatically get the hell back to the Great Tang country for me." After saying that, Kang Qiao threw Wu Dao a dark golden token. This was the token that symbolized him a disciple of the law enforcement lineage. As long as he showed this token, there would be a disciple of the Heavenly Dao sect who would take him to the dark gold peak to find him. Wu Daga took the token and curiously played with it, while saying, "Don't worry, master, I won't let you down." The next thing Wang Tiexiong and Wu Gang did was to chatter some more before Wuxia slowly marched off and disappeared from their sight. Looking at him, it's like seeing us back then. It's really nostalgic. Chen Sanchao looked at Wuxia's back and said with a smile. Wang Tiaxiong and Wu Gang also sighed. All right, go back. In another month, I have to return to the positive demon battlefield as well. Kang Jia laughed, and then brought them together to instantly move back to the imperial capital. At this moment, a big event had happened in the imperial capital. To be precise, a big event had happened in the imperial palace.